I know a lot of people watching this video know me, but many people around the world don't. My name is Hassan Mahmoud, and I'm making this video today because I've been dealing with something that even the closest people in my life have no idea. About 15 months ago, my son Aziz Mahmoud was kidnapped. And it's been something that I've been dealing with every day, every night, and I'm shooting this video because I'm asking the world for help. Now, some of you may be asking why I haven't gone to the authorities. I have, and I'll speak about that in a bit. But as a father and someone who is supposed to protect my son, I can't just sit around and wait anymore. And I'm asking you guys for help. I think it's important for you to understand how it started, why I'm now asking for help. My only goal with this video is to help bring Aziz home. Now, I want to be very direct with you right away. He was kidnapped by his birth mother. I also want to be very direct with you that it couldn't be done by someone worse. I met Aziz's mother almost 10 years ago. I was young, and when you're young, life happens, and she got pregnant. Now, she is 12 years older than me. I was well aware of what I was doing. I'm not here for sympathy or be playing a victim. I just want to be raw, and I want to be honest with you. In fact, some of you might be family members watching this, and it couldn't be more embarrassing because for years I've said something completely different regarding how we met. I decided when I was young that the biggest thing that I didn't want is for my child, who didn't ask to be born, to grow up without his father in a broken home. So even though it hurt me and destroyed my soul to live in the same house as her, be in the same environment as her every single day, I wasn't the priority my child was. And I'm sure every parent watching this video would agree. I learned the first week that my son was born, there's a difference between someone who gives birth. Genetically, you have a father, you have a mother that are part of the birthing process. And then I learned what a parent truly means. I learned the depth of love, and I learned that she was not one of those people. For years, I was physically abused, mentally abused. I kept telling myself that the most important thing was to have my son grow up in a home with both his parents. It was the toughest thing that I had to deal with for years. She's an alcoholic. I thought I understood the definition of what that meant before she entered my life. I was wrong, and I learned what an alcoholic meant. She was a drug addict, and unfortunately, she had a lot of mental health issues. For years, I tried getting her professional help. We tried going to therapy. I tried getting her help from going to rehab clinics, and every single time, she would never show up. I would be there alone, and she would disappear. For years, I would have to call the police because she would try to kill me. For years, I was just searching for help for her. You know, there was always a conversation with the police. Do you want to admit her 5150? And for those of you who don't know what that means, it means it's the mental health hold and clinics that you are forcibly sent to sometimes. And every time I said no, because I just thought all she needed was some more love. And I just thought that, who am I to do that to my son's mother? Looking back now, I can see why many times I was wrong. I want to fast forward really quick when I decided to walk away. I used to tell myself for a very long time that I would need to stay in this household. My son needs both his parents in this household, so that way he wouldn't be raised in a broken environment, having trauma from having parents that are divorced. And I would tell myself that story over and over and over again, every single day, until I remember there was this one night I remember it so clearly because, it was another night where she was drunk. She attacked me and physically assaulted me. And my son, Aziz, who had seen it before, before I would always, while I'm being assaulted, my biggest thing was making sure that my son didn't think that his father was being hurt. And so I would try to laugh or try to push out of the way. And there was this one night where my son saw it happening and he broke down, belligerently crying and trying to get in the way. And she's drunk, she doesn't know what she's doing. And he was screaming and crying, saying, "Leave my daddy alone, stop trying to hurt him." And I remember in that moment, this entire time, I've been trying to convince myself every single day that I need to stay in this relationship, stay in this home, so that way my son isn't damaged growing up, because I felt that being raised in a home with love was the most important thing. I realized in that moment that what I'm doing is going to traumatize him for the rest of his life if I decided to keep him and I in that environment. And so I finally made the decision to walk away and move out. My son was living with me full time. It's important for you guys to understand. I know that maybe in the world, it's always been so socially accepted that the mother should keep the child. It's important you guys understand that from the day my son was born, I've been feeding him with a bottle. I taught my son to eat, I taught him to walk. I would wake up at night to make sure he was okay when he was a baby and crying, and I would soothe him back to sleep. It was as if I was a single father living in a nightmare, him and me. Now, I'm not shooting this video for me. I'm not shooting this video in describing these details because I want anyone in the world who's watching this video to have any kind of sympathy for me. I take responsibility for leaving myself in those moments, but it's important for everyone watching this video that he has been with a dangerous person for the last 15 months. I felt after I left the relationship and me and him moved out, I felt that it was very important that he would keep a relationship with his mother. I never wanted there not to be a relationship with his mother. My parents, my father especially, always told me, you always need to honor your mother. No matter what happens between me and your mom, you need to always honor your mother. I always wanted that for him. I always wanted that for my son. And so I would constantly, me or family members would fly him to Oregon to go see his mother because that's where she moved back to. For a very long time, she would convince me, and looking back, she would manipulate me to tell me to not get the court involved. Her biggest fear was always getting the court involved. And to a degree, there was a part of me that understood or believed her because I had family members growing up who had issues and the court got involved, and unfortunately they got it wrong, but I should have got the court involved a long time ago. We had a mutual understanding. She knew that I would take care of my son, I always did. She knew that he had a lot of love from his aunts, his uncles, his grandparents, his cousins. Aziz was the light of everyone's life in my family. And we had an understanding that he would go see his mom and then come back. Unfortunately, December 2024, December 21st was the last time I ever saw my son, heard his voice, which is incredibly absurd, incredibly odd, because imagine someone being in your life, your child, every day for 7 years, and it's as if they never existed. Now you may ask why she did this. Natural thing to ask. Unfortunately, we were in a business together, and unfortunately, due to her wanting more money, her and another individual decided to try to illegally take over the business for money. She had asked me to drop him off for Christmas to spend with his sisters. Now, she was married prior to her and I's relationship, and she has 3 kids. 2 of them live with their father. They're more Aziz's age, and he's had full custody since they divorced. And I always felt it was important for him to have that relationship with his siblings. They're great girls. So I said yes, took him to Portland, and that was the last time I ever heard or saw from him again. I was supposed to pick him up December 27th, and she texted me. She wasn't picking up. She texted me and said that, oh, can he stay for New Year's? The girls are staying for New Year's. I said okay, again, because I wanted to spend time with his sisters. That was the last time she ever wrote to me. And so, fast forward, January 8th, I found out the reason why was because of the actions her and this individual named Josh Zweigel were doing for a business dispute. And they wanted to use my son as a chess piece to allow me to do what they wanted. Now, I'm not here to talk about business. That's not the purpose of this video. It's about my son, but I need you to understand why this happened. We go into January, and when I'm realizing that this is reality, the first thing I did was try to get my son home. She disappeared. I was paying for this home they used to live in Lake Oswego, and I had called the police. I had hired private investigators. The house was abandoned. And I immediately, on January 9th, January 10th, hired attorneys to file for full custody and get my son home. And you know, for those of you who may ask, why did I ever let my son go, knowing that he was in possibly a bad environment? It's because I had safeguards in place. I would be able to FaceTime my son 10, 12 times a day. My son had his own way to call me as well on his iPad. I always knew he was safe because I could check on him. Do you mind if we cut? I remember when I decided to be there for my child when they were born, and the life that I was about to embark on. I had moved to Oregon, Happy Valley, Oregon, and her and I moved in with each other. And during the pregnancy, there were times where I would be sleeping, and in the middle of the night I wake up and someone is punching me in the face vigorously. And I wake up so confused, I'm in pain, wondering what the heck's going on. And Candace was having a bad night. And something told her in her head that I was doing something, and so she felt compelled to hit me. Another night, I woke up and someone had thrown something at my face. And all I remember was it was just something so heavy. And she had thrown a lamp at my face in my sleep. And I had woken up in pain and confused. And as she's explaining to me why she did it, none of it made any sense. And she immediately started crying and saying, I'm sorry, I'm pregnant, I'm emotional. I really believed it was the pregnancy. Who am I to know? I'm young. I've heard that, you know, pregnant women, their emotions run high. And never talked about it before. Those are just 2 incidences that happened during the pregnancy. And then the week he was born, I remember that the first thing she did was go buy 3 bottles of wine and just started drinking. And from the very first day, I was feeding my son with a bottle. And I realized the first week that it wasn't emotions, it wasn't the pregnancy, it was her. And being a new father, trying my best, trying to provide, working full time, and taking care of him, it was incredibly difficult. And I remember I had called my family in California and said, I can't do this. It's impossible for me to provide for my son and also work 24/7. I need help. I had to move back home to California. She came with me, of course. And we got a home with her, me, a few of my siblings, and my mother. And I remember the first few weeks in the house, it was like living in a nightmare. She was constantly having conversations with herself. She was constantly drunk. And I remember the 3rd or the 4th day of the house, I woke up, she started punching me, scratching me, she was choking me. And when I finally got her off, I was trying to calm her down to understand what's going on, and she was just calling me a piece of trash, piece of shit, disgusting human being. I love my baby more than I love her. Why do I give him so much attention? I want nothing to do with the child. And I just kept trying to calm her down. There was a pair of scissors in the room. My son is 3 months old at this time. She immediately grabbed them and said, I can't do this anymore, and tried to stab herself. I jumped in the way, I got cut up a few times, and I was finally able to remove the scissors out of her hands. I just was so confused. I didn't understand what's going on, and she told me she was fine, and she ended up going into the bathroom. When she came out, I looked in the bathroom and there was a bottle in the trash, and it was completely empty. She had taken a bunch of pills, trying to harm herself and kill herself, and I had to immediately go get her and force her to throw up, and she was just screaming, hitting me and saying stop, that I'm so selfish. And she eventually hit me really bad to where it hurt. And I was just so upset and confused, and in that moment she started packing stuff, and I tried to stop her and said, what are you doing? And she said, I'm done with this. I'm gonna go to a hotel and gonna kill myself. I don't want this. I don't want this child. I don't want to live with you. She's sitting on the curb, and this is like 4 or 5 in the morning. My mother woke up, my sister woke up, and they're asking me what's going on. My son is crying and screaming because he heard us fighting, and I'm trying to calm his mom is screaming. And I'm telling my mom and my sister what she told me, and they're literally telling me, what are you doing? Call the police. She's not all there right now, call the police. Are you just gonna let her leave? And I didn't know what to do. I was 23 years old. I finally called the police. When the police came, she ran back inside when she saw the police, and she started belligerently crying, telling me, please don't do this to me. Tell them I'm fine. I swear I'm okay. I just drank too much. I had told the police it's okay, she's better now, she's fine. And they ended up leaving. They had asked me, that was the first time in my life, they asked me, do you want to have her 5150 status and make sure she has a psychiatric hold for 24, 48 hours? And I said no. And that was just a glimpse of how the next 8 years of my life went. Second time I had to call the police was because one of my best friends was having a wedding. Her and her husband, who were like a brother and sister to me, I lived with them for years, were having a wedding. She hated them. She felt threatened by them because of our relationship. They never made her feel that way. And that was the constant thing that would happen in my life with her, is people around me that loved me, she would try to destroy their relationship with them and say they had hidden agendas, and she destroyed family relationships, friendships, business associates. all because she just wanted to be the one to, I don't know, control everything. And I remember I told her how important it was for me to be at their wedding. And she told me, you know what, hey, you're right, it is important, we should go. And we were halfway there, driving to Los Angeles. She just had a freak out and said that I need to turn on right now and drive back home because she's not going and neither am I. And I just told her, I'm not, you know what, if you don't want to go, we're halfway there, I'm not going to miss this. You've already said yes. And I knew, I could tell she was having one of her moments. And so I said, you can just stay in the hotel room, but I'm not going to miss it. And I remember she just started punching me. And then she started grabbing the wheel, and we're on the freeway, and I eventually had to pull off. She was attempting to harm herself, and so I decided to stop and just go back home. I got home, she got drunk, she also took some pills. She was constantly mixing Xanax and alcohol together. And I decided to sleep in the other room that night, around 1, 2 a.m. I was awake, I just felt like something was off. And she barged in, out of her mind, and she had a kitchen knife that big, and she just came at me. And I was running, and she was swinging the knife, screaming, saying nasty things to me, saying I'm a traitor, I'm a piece of shit, I have some disgusting relationship with my friend who's getting married, and that I'm a disgusting human being and I should be ashamed to be a father to my son. And she's just swiping away. Now I'm running around the house trying to get away from her, trying to find something to stop her with. And in this moment, my son, who's 3, hears the screaming and the yelling, and he wakes up, Aziz, and he comes out super confused about what's going on and starts screaming and crying, and she just doesn't stop. And so I eventually ran over to my son. I ran out of the house with him, and I called 911. Police came, and they asked me again, would you like to 5150 her? When they came, it was as if the devil in her was gone. And you just saw this calm, sweet woman who just denied everything that just happened in the house. They had asked me if they wanted to arrest her. And I said, no, I'm just gonna go to my family's house for the night. And me and my son are gonna go to my family's house and let her sleep it off. You know, for so long, I've literally blacked these things out because it happened so many times, and I was just like, it was killing me living in this environment, in this home. And I just couldn't do it anymore, because if I was gonna wake up the next day, there was no way in hell that I could get by in my house knowing what she did the night before and knowing it was gonna happen again in a week. And I just like every single time I would literally be like, I don't understand, you're mother to this beautiful boy, you have a great life, what's the problem? Fuck me, screw me. But you're a mother to this amazing child, why can't you just see the beauty in that? And for years I would just block it out, block it out, block it out, block it out. I just literally cutting another piece of me away, cutting another piece of me away, cutting another piece of me away. All because I just wanted him to live in a home, to be able to one day experience a mother. And talking about all this, it's like, I tried so hard getting her help. So hard. And then the worst part would be where I would literally question, is there something wrong with me? It'd be so weird, because she would literally tell me these horror stories about her ex-husband. And they were so bad. I would think to myself they were so bad. Anybody would hear things that are so bad. And I had this image in my head of who he was for 8 years. And I remember when he had filed for custody over his daughters after they got a divorce, and he got full custody. And I remember they weren't even my kids, and I just felt bad for her. And I tried hiring an attorney, all the money I had in the world to hire an attorney, and fight him for custody for her. And I remember like having this like internal battle, like, dude, this is the last $5,000 I have. My son is 2 weeks old. This is like so tough. And all I'm asking is like, be a mother, be human. And I remember like, she was telling me like, it's not worth fighting. And I'm like, what do you mean it's not worth fighting? Like, it's your kids, like your daughters. Like, what do you mean it's not worth fighting? We already paid the attorney, we're not getting that back. Like, what do you mean it's not worth fighting? And she just said he made up a lot of lies and he's like really elaborate and he's gonna be able to, and I never understood it. And then for years and years and years, I used to think there was something wrong with that guy because of the constant programming and things she would tell me and the constant comments about him for years and years and years. And then when I finally decided to leave the home with Aziz, it's like I had this like epiphany that I think she was lying to me for years. And then I found out that she was the one. There was this time where her oldest daughter, so many crazy times, dude, where I had to literally take her and Aziz to Texas to live with the friends over there because she made up this crazy conspiracy that the reason why she can't live in California with my family is because they're all out to get her and they're trying to steal her child. I moved there, stay with a friend in Texas, and I remember the first 3 days we got there, nothing changed, and I was just, her daughter went with us, which from another relationship prior to her marriage, and they got in a really big fight. And I remember the daughter, I felt so bad for her. I felt so bad for her daughter because they're like getting in this fight, and this little girl, she was 20 something at that time, maybe 19, I don't remember. And I remember they were fighting about her breaking up with her ex-husband or divorcing her ex-husband and telling her how she ruined her life and just things I had never heard before. And she said that, you know, you never should have cheated on him. You never should have treated him bad, this, that, the other, because when they had gotten married, that became her father, her stepdad. And she lived with him for 15 years of her life, I think. And I just heard these things that her daughter was saying out loud, and I'm like, is that true? There's no way that's true, is that true? And I remember right after, Candace wasn't concerned about her daughter, who was like distraught, crying, walked out of the house, saying all these things. All she came to tell me was, you don't believe what she said, right? Like you don't believe that those things are true about me. I didn't do any of that. She's just making that up because she's crazy. And there's just so many times, and then I learned the hard way that her ex-husband went through the similar things that I went through. And I realized it wasn't, I don't know, it's like it wasn't just me. Maybe I got it worse, I don't know. But I just felt so ashamed that I had this fake anger towards this guy because of what she told me he used to do to her. And through my own experience with her of 8 years, I knew she was lying and she was the abuser. It's crazy. I remember the last time before we went our separate ways and I would tell her, you need help, you need help, you need help. Like, I can't do this, you need help. And her concern every time would be like, no, there's no way in hell that I'm gonna go to a rehab clinic. There's no way in hell I'm gonna go to a mental health clinic. There's no way in hell I'm gonna go speak to a therapist, because if her ex-husband, his name is Coley, and I'm sorry for using your name, brother, but if he ever found out, then she would never ever be able to see her children again, her daughters. And then she told me, if I ever did that, you would use it against me if you ever try to get custody. And I'm never gonna let you guys have that ammunition against me. And I would tell her, like, that's what you think about? Like, I've been doing this for how many years now, and you think I have bad intentions for you? I just care about Aziz. I just care about him experiencing a mother, and I'm willing to do whatever is necessary. And I remember that last fight because she knew it was over. Like, she knew it was over, and there was no coming back from it. And I remember I slept downstairs that night. A cousin of mine was over, and I just had a feeling she was gonna have one of those nights. I guess I have a sixth sense for it after dealing with it for so long. I locked the door to my room that night. Me, Aziz, and my cousin were all sleeping in the same bed. They fell asleep. I didn't fall asleep because I just knew something was gonna happen. Lo and behold, around 12 or 1 a.m., you hear the stomps coming down the stairs, and you hear the stomps coming. I literally have PTSD when I sleep because of those stomps, because of the amount of times it's happened. And you hear the stomps coming, and you hear somebody trying to break the door down, saying, you piece of shit, open the motherfucking door. You're not a man. My cousin's in the bed with me yelling, you're a fucking faggot. How dare you sleep in a bed with your cousin who's a male and your son's next to you? What kind of man are you? Open the fucking door right now. You're not gonna walk away from me. Just over and over again and banging on the door. And Aziz wakes up and he's like, starts crying, like, what's wrong with mommy? Like, why is she doing this again? Like, was she okay? What's wrong with her? Why is she so mad again? And he used to always say that to me, why is she mad again? Like he did something wrong. And I remember I told my cousin, watch Aziz, I'm not gonna open the door because I will not be able to get her out. I'm gonna go through the window and come through the back because the backyard sliding door was always open. And I did that. And I just tried to get her away from the door, to get her away from Aziz. And the moment she saw me, I saw what was in her hand and why the door, it sounded like it was breaking down, and she had a hammer and she was just coming at me. And I was just trying to stay away, move, push things in her way. And I remember I eventually got out of the way and I saw an opportunity and I threw the hammer out of her hand, and then in that same opportunity she got me and was choking me. And I remember just being choked, barely can breathe. And all I'm thinking about is, I have to make sure my son's okay. I have to make sure we get out of this house. I'll never go through this again. I don't ever want him to feel like he did something wrong. And that's all that's going through my mind, why this woman is choking the life out of me. I don't know if you guys know how humiliating it is to admit this, how hard it's been for me to talk about this stuff. I haven't talked about it before. But we finally walked away. And we had an understanding that I would never call. I would never get the authorities involved. I would never go file for full custody. And when everything happened, right, she's not picking up my calls. His iPad is disconnected. I can't call it. I'm so concerned. I go to Oregon. I call the police. I call private investigators. The house is abandoned, and nobody either knows where she's at or will tell me where she went. And in that moment, I knew I had to file for full custody, which I did. And I filed for full custody. I didn't have a lot of money, but I had to come up with money to hire the best attorneys out there. And because of family support, I was able to do that. We hired Blank Rome, and I got very lucky with my attorney. Her name is Jacqueline Combs. I immediately knew that once the private investigator couldn't find her, the police, me, that I had to get legal help. And before, I always had felt like I could have control of making sure my son was okay and safe. And I had all those safeguards in place. But the moment I knew that I didn't know where he was at for the first time in 7 years, for the first time since he's been born in 7 years, I haven't heard his voice. I knew I had to get the law involved. And so I spoke to a very good friend of mine, and he recommended the best family attorney law firm out there in Los Angeles County, Blank Rome. And I was very lucky with the attorneys I got. I felt like they actually cared. It was Jacqueline Combs and her partner, Christina Royce. It was incredibly expensive, but my family all came up together and were able to come up with the money together and scrounge it up. Some people took loans, some people got a credit card, and Aziz was a very important person in everyone's life, and everyone was gravely concerned. And they understood the magnitude of what was happening, the kidnapping, and how all this had to do with a business dispute that had nothing to do with my actual son. And so they said, we're gonna file for something called an ex parte order. If you don't know what it is, it's okay, I didn't. When I first heard it, it's just an emergency order that a judge needs to take an emergency decision right now because of this incident involving a child's life. And so we went to court, and Judge Sonia Dujan, I apologize with how to say it, saw the evidence and made a decision that I should have full custody of my child based off of what was provided, and that Candace would need to come back and we would discuss further in court. But immediately, right away, I am the full custody parent, and he needs to be returned immediately back home. That was in January of 2025, and I thought that would be the end of it. It was just the beginning. That was 14 months ago. Now, what happened after that, I was so let down. You know, growing up, especially in America, I was born in California, I was born in the United States. I was raised with the idea that the government can help when somebody does something wrong and hold people accountable. And I remember the first month when everything was happening, January to February, the first thing you need to do is call the police department, because at this point we knew she wasn't going to return Aziz, but no one could get a hold of her. Her attorneys claimed that they didn't know where she was at. And I say claimed because during that time they were helping her with this business dispute. People that she was doing this with, Josh Zweigel, and I'm saying his name on camera today because it's important. He claimed at that time he didn't know where she was at and had no communication with her. And I kept telling them this has nothing to do with business. This has to do with my son's life. You don't know what you're doing. You don't understand that this woman needs help, and she doesn't care about the safety or the well-being of Aziz. And they were not helpful, so the first thing we had to do was we had to call my local police department. Now, we had to file a missing persons report and file, I believe it was called a victim report. And it took, I'm like shaking right now, it took the sheriff's department 3 times to come to my house to take a report. Because the first 2 times when they came, it's as if they didn't believe what I was telling them. And it's so crazy because it's one thing to think that I did something, she's protecting the child, she fled from me, all these crazy things. But for the first time in my life, I did feel like my name, I was potentially racially profiled. They saw my name and they saw this white woman and they just thought that I did something wrong. Just being honest with you guys about how they made me feel. Now, I would love to say that I'm crazy, but my attorney, Jacqueline Combs, was on speakerphone all 3 times because she couldn't believe what they were saying to me, as if I did something wrong. And so finally, the only reason why we were able to get, I don't remember who it was in the sheriff's department, to take it serious and send an officer down, but it was because of the fact that I wouldn't want to say I made a threat, but I did say firmly about how ridiculous this entire thing is, how the judge made the order. You're not the judge already got the information she needed for us to get the order. And you're here questioning me like, what did I do wrong? And I was just so mad because that process took a month just to get the police to believe me. And even then, I don't know if they believe me, because here's what happened. They finally came out because the 3rd time, because I threatened to said that, you know what, you're violating the judge's order. It's not your job to prove who has custody at all. Here's the custody order that I have right now that she needs to return the child. And you need to file a victim's report right now. You need to file a missing persons report right now. If you don't, then my legal team is going to be speaking with your office. And it took that for them to take me serious. Now they come out, after they come out, blew my mind. You would think that they would show any kind of urgency with Aziz's life. It then got into, well, you need to speak to the Los Angeles County Police Department. Where I live, I'm in between Ventura County and Los Angeles County, and they were saying I needed to speak with Los Angeles County. So then me and my attorney had to speak to Los Angeles County, and we go through the whole purpose again, the whole thing. Talking about a kid's life here, go through the whole thing again. They say, oh, you need to speak to the Ventura County. Back and forth for months. The DA in Los Angeles County didn't want to take it. The DA in Ventura County didn't want to take it. Back and forth. At that point, it's about 4 months in, 4 months. And I felt like, is it because she's a woman and I'm a man? In America, the woman automatically gets the child? Is it that? Is it that because I'm an Arab, I have an Arab name, I'm Palestinian, even though I'm American? Is it because of that? Like, what is it that I'm doing wrong for them not to take my son's life serious? Now, while this is going on, I remember it like hurt me so bad. I was now in contact with her ex-husband, and he had told me about the last conversation that his daughter, Aziz's sister, had with her on FaceTime. And he told me that my son was crying, and he told me that Aziz was wearing a wig because he was telling his sister, I want to take this off, and his sister saw that he was wearing a wig, and Candace told him, no, you have to keep that on. Imagine making a 7-year-old child wear a wig because you're hiding from the police. He was crying to his sister saying, I just want to go home and see my daddy. And it hurt because I thought about it so hard about what is it that she could have said to Aziz to make him think his dad never came back for him. My son is my best friend. I'm his best friend. I've literally been with him since the moment he opened his eyes as a baby. And it just hurts knowing that this entire time he's been so fearful of his life, wondering what did he do wrong, of why his dad didn't want him anymore. The DA didn't help me in Los Angeles County, Ventura County. The police department didn't help me in Los Angeles County, Ventura County. And I'm not here to speak ill of people. I'm just being honest with you guys. This is why I'm shooting this video. I even tried reaching out to my local congresswoman. She didn't help me. I got on the phone with her and I thought she was gonna do something. And all she told me was, oh, I can't do anything for you. I can just give you an update on the status of your case. And I remember telling her, so you're telling me that all you can do is let me know when they've done something already, when I can already do that myself, but you yourself are not gonna pick up the phone, contact the DA, you yourself are not gonna pick up the phone, call the police department, you yourself are not gonna call the Senator of California, call the FBI, you're not gonna call anybody, is that correct? Yes, that's correct. Months go by, I find out, thanks to Jacqueline Combs and my law firm, that they fled the country. Now, the only reason we found out was because there's some form you have to fill out, and I'm not allowed to find out if she traveled, but because I have full custody over my son, I can find out if a passport was made and things like that. Imagine being a parent and you hear on the phone while you're speaking to your attorney, while you're reading the email, that she's fled the country. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, Jackie, how is this possible? Like, how is it she got a passport made? I'm on the birth certificate. For you to get a passport for a child, both parents have to be present. The passport control agency told me that she provided a birth certificate without me on there. Apparently I died and she needed to get a passport made. And so she got a new birth certificate saying that the father was deceased. They gave her a passport. They fled the country. And I found out that they ended up in Thailand. Now, I want to be very clear with what I say next, because I have so many friends in Thailand. I have a lot of relationships in Thailand. It's a beautiful country, but just like different countries have different things that can happen. This country or state has a higher crime rate. This country or state has a higher divorce rate. It could be anything. And it's not a surprise that Thailand is one of the highest countries for child trafficking. Doesn't mean it's a bad country. It means people abuse a beautiful country. I was just so scared, because you have to understand what kind of woman Candace is. She's so dangerous that she'll leave Aziz in the room. She'll meet someone at a bar downstairs, take them up to the room and ask them for meeting them for an hour if they can watch my son while she goes out to party, have fun, live her life, drink, do drugs, whatever. That's the kind of person that took him. Since it started, I've had nightmares every night. My family's had nightmares, my wife, my sister, my mom. Nobody's been able to sleep since this happened. And I wake up with screaming in my sleep. I wake up talking in my sleep. I do my best not to sleep, because I'm just so scared of having a dream where I'm letting my child down and I'm trying to bring him home. Because it's as if the last 15 months he never existed for the last 7 years. He's now 8. I saw a video on Instagram that somebody sent to me and said, I think that's Aziz. And it's a video on this gentleman's Instagram stories, and it's my son wearing a devil outfit, cussing, cursing, like he didn't even know, he'd never say, so he was such a sweet boy, like cussing. He said some other filthy things about sex. 7-year-old boy. The person shooting the video kept saying to my son, like, I'm your daddy, and he wasn't saying it like in a fatherly figure kind of way, if you understand what I'm saying. I don't want to even talk about it. And it broke me. Like, it literally broke me. And I said to I lost my mind. Like, it's like my brain just split. And I tried fighting it mentally. I tried working and being productive to provide for my family that I still have, for myself, to pay attorneys, while also trying to deal with recovering him. And it just broke me. So I said to myself, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna go to Thailand. And I went to Thailand for 2 months, almost 2 months. I was there with my 2 younger brothers. While I was there, I tried going to the embassy, showing them the paperwork, because I had hired private investigators and they found where she was staying, and the police wanted to get involved. The TCA, the Thai Central Authority, really wanted to help. I made a local police case. They really wanted to help, but they said that they can't do anything unless the embassy says it's okay for them to get involved and help me recover my son, or somebody from the embassy is present while they go and bring him out of the hotel room. because we found where they were at, which was incredibly expensive. I'm not sure if you guys know how much it costs to travel. I'm not sure if you know how much it costs to hire private investigators. It's not cheap. Local attorneys, it's not cheap. In fact, the embassy was so confused when I went. It was my first week there, and they were so confused how the police were so willing to help, because usually they don't do that. And thanks to some close family friends who really want to get Aziz safely back home, they had some friends in Thailand who made some introductions. And when the embassy told me that they can't help, because technically, even though I am his legal father, I have 100% legal custody, technically, while she's in the country, she has rights. As a US citizen, she has rights. And even though in the US, the authorities are looking for her, she's not in the US. And so they wouldn't even write a letter that the entire ex parte order was legit. They wouldn't have someone present to recover my son. Now, it's so important for you guys to understand that all I wanted to do was get Aziz and go straight to the embassy, because I can't leave the country without him anyways. They're gonna have to get us out of the country and get him a passport, because I had never made the passport. And it's really important that you understand that. And that's why the police were willing to help, because they knew I wasn't kidnapping my child, because if I showed up to the embassy with him, they would have to help. Here's the crazy thing. They tell me that if I show up to the embassy with Aziz, they will help me get out of the country. But how I show up with him, as long as I'm not doing anything illegal, it's none of their business. But they can't in any way write a letter that I'm his sole custody parent, say that the authorities are looking for candidates in the US. They just can't do that. But if I show up with him, and however I do it, then they'll help me get out of the country. Fortunately, it didn't happen, and she disappeared. I remember saying to the embassy, do you understand how serious this is? Do you understand what kind of woman is watching him? Here's some more private conversations of why he's in immediate harm. All they could say is, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna say their names on camera, because I don't want these individuals to get in trouble for something, for doing the right thing. But there were individuals that did the right thing in Thailand, and they gave me information because they were so concerned of Aziz's well-being as well. And she left the country. When I got there, she had left the country twice at that point. She had gone to Bali with her boyfriend. She didn't leave with Aziz. She left a 7-year-old child with a stranger in Thailand for 2 weeks each time. Finally, I had gotten some help from a sergeant from the police department in Lake Oswego, Oregon. He had reached out to me. And it was so sad and so disappointing, and I appreciate him being so honest. He told me, this has apparently been with us for a while, but we've been waiting for the Sheriff's Department in Ventura County to send us over this, that, and they took forever to get us to us, and we finally got it, and I just want to make sure that we stay on top of it and find out if your son was ever recovered. This is 4, 5, 6 months later. And he was incredibly helpful. He helped to the best of his ability to push it forward. I believe, I always get this wrong, Sergeant or whatever, but Sergeant Vaughn, incredibly helpful. And he got the DA to take action. And the local DA did take action. I just want to give everyone clear understanding of what happens when you go the legal route and your child is kidnapped overseas. There's something called the Hague Convention. And I had started this process. It's not free, but pretty much there's treaties with the UN where countries will help recover a child if they're in a country that is a part of the Hague Convention. But let me just tell you how it works, because I did go through this, and it's a joke. It's a joke. I had to pay my attorneys to get the proper information, which is not their fault, they're godsend. Then we had to get local attorneys in Thailand, and we had to coordinate it with the Department of Justice. Now, let me tell you how it works. Once you've proven that your documents are legitimate, it will go in front of a judge in Thailand. The judge in Thailand agrees, and they will send the police to where the location is of the child. Whether it's a parent or a stranger, they will send the police there. The police will then let her know, or let him know, let the kidnapper know that they need to return the child. A judge ordered it, they need to return to their country, and they filed the Hague Convention process and it was approved. The kidnapper can tell you no and leave, and you have to leave. They don't arrest you, they don't do a yellow alert with Interpol, they do nothing but alert the kidnapper that they need to return the child. So then they go back, and that's another process that could take months, maybe a year, and they tell them the kidnapper said no. But in that window, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, a year, that kidnapper, whether they're a parent or not, can leave that country to another country, and they're not gonna stop them. They're not gonna stop her specifically. So if she decided to leave, after they alerted her that we are onto her and that she should return the child, she can legally leave the country to another country, and guess what happens? I have to hope and be lucky that she went to a country that is a part of the Hague Convention, or unbelievable, or hope they stop her. You can't comprehend how confusing this all has been, because it's as if a child's life is not urgent, and it's as if no one's taking urgency when it comes to Aziz. And so I had to leave the country of Thailand because I had no more money. I had to pay these private investigators daily. I couldn't afford a hotel anymore, and I had to leave. I don't take pride in saying that. I'm ashamed that I couldn't stay there longer to try to find him, but we just couldn't do it. And every other area of my life was being destroyed professionally. And I'm saying that because either I try to focus and return my son, or I have to try to make sure that I work and everyone's lives are operating and efficient. All because they couldn't issue a yellow alert with Interpol, which would mean if they did that, if she tried to travel outside of the country, they would stop her, detain her because her home country is requesting to return the child, and possibly her. I found out about a month ago, it's April now, I found out that she had left the country again for weeks, went to Bali with her boyfriend. And again, my son, for the third time, was kept with strangers, wondering where his dad's at, wondering where his family's at, and wondering what he did wrong, because she just wants to live her life. I'm hoping and praying that this video gets somebody's attention. More recently, I spoke with the FBI, and they told me that they can either tell me what's going on with the status of the case, or they can decide not to tell me what's going on. They have the free will, and legally that's how it works. And all I wanted to know was there a yellow alert issued? Is anyone gonna extradite her? Is anyone going to care about my son's safety? And that was the answer I got from them, which is why I'm shooting this video today, which is why I'm asking the world for help. The sheriff department from 2 different counties didn't care. The district attorney from 2 different counties didn't care. My local congresswoman didn't care about my son's life. It seems the FBI doesn't care about my son's life. And it seems as if only my attorneys, Judge Sonia Dujan cares, and maybe Sergeant Vaughn in Oregon. But I can't go another day hoping that one day someone wakes up from the authorities to go and do the right thing and actually treat this like a kidnapping and have fear for my son's safety. I can't sleep anymore, haven't slept, and I just felt as a parent, as embarrassing as this video was gonna be, I have to do something. And I learned a long time ago that there's power with people, and I'm asking the world to help me, please. I'm asking the world to share this with people. I'm asking the world to put pressure on the authorities. I'm asking the world to put pressure on the people who are helping her continue this nightmare. And if you know anything, please reach out to me. We made a website, it's Bring Aziz Home. You can reach out to me or someone, and we'll get back to you right away if you have any information at all regarding Aziz. There's a few individuals who have helped her during this time. Maybe you can tell them to do the right thing. One of them's name is Josh Zweigel. Another one's name is Tyler Ascension. Her boyfriend, if he's still her boyfriend, I don't know, is Stone Bryson Liker. If any of you know these individuals, tell them to do the right thing and to help bring Aziz home. If any of you know her and are in contact with her, tell her to do the right thing and bring Aziz home. Every day that goes by, I think about the nightmare that Aziz is going through. Is he in a safe environment? Is he being abused by strangers? Is he being sexually abused? And I hate to go there, but if you understand the magnitude of this woman, you'd understand why I go there. And so I'm asking you guys, please, if you know any of these individuals, to tell them to do the right thing and bring Aziz home. Sometimes I wish I had all the money in the world, because it seems like if you have a lot of money, you get whatever you want. This entire process has broken me spiritually. This entire process has broken me financially. But I am willing to say that if anyone has any information that can lead to Aziz coming home, I'm more than willing to give a $5,000 reward for his safe return home. Please contact me. Please reach out to us and just help me bring my son home. Thank you guys.